In November 1966, a government committee handed the U.S. Congress a 124-page report. Page 32 had a single sentence that killed an entire field for 20 years. Quote, "There is no immediate or predictable prospect of useful machine translation. By December, the funding was gone. By 1968, most of the labs were closed. This is the story of the first AI winter." Last episode, Georgetown, 1954. IBM staged a demo. The press said full translation was 3 to 5 years away. An entire field believed it. They were 60 years off. What you didn't see was what happened between 1954 and 1966. 12 years, $20 million in funding, about $200 million today. Labs at MIT, Harvard, Berkeley, Georgetown, Rand, and almost nothing that actually worked. Today's 3 beats. First, who ALPAC was, and why an outsider committee got to grade the field. Second, the report itself and the data that ended the field. Third, who survived the freeze and why it mattered for the next 50 years. ALPAC, Automatic Language Processing Advisory Committee, convened by the U.S. National Academy of Sciences in April 1964. 7 members. The chair, John Pierce of Bell Labs, the man who'd named the transistor. Pierce wasn't a translation researcher. That was the point. The funders wanted an outside audit. After 12 years and $20 million, they wanted to know, had machine translation actually delivered anything? The answer was being asked by someone who could not be accused of bias. ALPAC ran for 2 years. Interviews, site visits at every major lab, direct comparisons, machine output versus human translators on the same Russian and Chinese source material, cost per page, time per page, error rates. The work was thorough and damning. November 1966. The report lands. 124 pages. Title, Languages and Machines, Computers in Translation and Linguistics. The verdict, page 32, is brutal. Quote, "There is no immediate or predictable prospect of useful machine translation." The data behind the verdict. Post-edited machine translation cost roughly $90 per 1,000 words. A human translator cost $40. The machine output was slower and more expensive, and the post-edited quality was still measurably worse than a fresh human pass. Pierce's tone in the surrounding letters was even sharper. He called the field a textbook example of failed engineering, not bad luck, not underfunded, failed engineering. The committee was telling Congress that 12 years of paid research had produced no usable product. Within months, ARPA, the Defense Department Research Agency, pulled machine translation funding. The Air Force followed. The CIA followed. The Georgetown lab, the one that had launched the original demo 14 years earlier, was closed in 1968. Of the 12 major U.S. machine translation labs that had existed in 1964 by 1972, there were 3. In Canada, similar collapse. In the UK, MT funding effectively went to zero until 1985. This was a global freeze, not an American one. But ALPAC didn't just kill machine translation. It planted a question that hung over the entire AI field for the next decade. If we can't even translate a clean, well-defined task with right and wrong answers, what makes us think we can do anything else? 3 things survived the freeze. 1. Systron, a single MT system, founded by a Georgetown alum, kept running on Air Force contracts. Decades later, it became the engine behind early Babelfish and the first version of Google Translate. The line never quite broke. 2. Theoretical computational linguistics. With the engineering side defunded, the academic side, parsing, formal grammars, semantics, quietly built the foundations the field would need 30 years later. Chomskyans called this a victory. Engineers called it irrelevance. Both were partly right. 3. A small group of statistical thinkers, Frederick Jelinek at IBM, others at the University of Pennsylvania. They kept asking a different question. Not how do we write better rules, but what if translation is fundamentally statistical? That seed germinated in the 1980s. We'll get there. 3 takeaways before the quiz. 1. The first AI winter wasn't a technical event, it was a financial one. a verdict on whether the bills had been justified. 2. The shutdown was scientifically justified. The systems weren't working. ALPAC didn't lie about the data. 3. But the shutdown also killed work that wasn't broken yet and set up the second AI winter 20 years later. Hype cycles teach the field nothing. Quiz 1. Who chaired the ALPAC committee? A. John McCarthy, B. Warren Weaver, C. John Pierce, or D. Marvin Minsky? C. John Pierce of Bell Labs. McCarthy named AI. Weaver wrote the 1949 translation as cipher memo. Minsky was on parallel AI committees, but ALPAC was Pierce's. Quiz 2. What was the headline finding? A. MT was 5 years away. B. No immediate or predictable prospect of useful machine translation. C. MT was already cheaper than humans. D. MT should be merged into cryptanalysis. B. The exact quote that ran across page 32. A is the 1954 Georgetown promise reversed. C is the opposite of what the data showed. Last quiz. What was the lasting consequence? A. It permanently ended MT research. B. It triggered a 20-year MT freeze until statistical methods returned. C. It accelerated rule-based AI funding. Or D. It led directly to LLMs. B. The field froze until statistical MT emerged at IBM around 1988. A is too strong. Systrin kept running. C is the opposite. Rule-based AI funding was also cut. D skips 50 years of intermediate work. Back to the running puzzle. In video 1 we asked, what does it mean for a machine to understand? In V3 we saw IBM claim victory at the smallest possible scale and have the press believe it. ALPAC is the moment the field had to admit, we don't yet understand the problem well enough to know if we've solved it. From here, two paths diverge. The Chomskyians go deeper into theory, the empiricists wait, then build statistical machine translation. Both bet on different futures. Next time, that bet. Next time, 1957. Noam Chomsky publishes Syntactic Structures. The fight between rules and statistics begins. It lasts 60 years. Hit subscribe if you want it the day it drops.